It's cold and flu season, but who says being sick can't be a little bit more cheerful? Let this tissue box cover bring some joy to your home. For this pattern, you'll need an 11.5 millimeter crochet hook, a large tapestry needle, one with an eye that's big enough to fit this very jumbo yarn through, a pair of scissors, some stitch markers, and for the yarn, I'm using Big Twist Favorite Faux Fur in the color Golden Doodle, I believe. Yep, Golden Doodle. And this is a 100% polyester faux fur yarn that is a weight 7 jumbo yarn. And then for the eyes on my dog, I'm going to be using these safety eyes that I just got off of Amazon today actually. And they're really impressive because they come with both eyes and like little dog noses, if you can see that. So I definitely recommend getting this little kit. It's super inexpensive, like $6 or $7. If you look in the description of the video below, I have a link to the blog post where this pattern is written out for free. I'll put a link to all of these items in that blog post. To start off this pattern, you're going to make a slip knot and chain 13. But before we start chaining, I want to mention that with this faux fur yarn, we're not going to be able to see our chains or our stitches. So it's important to crochet with very loose tension. Alright, for our first row, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from our hook. And we crocheted with loose tension, remember, because we have to feel where our stitches are. Let me show you with regular yarn what's going on. We've just chained 13 stitches. What we're going to do is flip our chain over, and we're going to be working in these back humps of the chain. So skip, you're going to feel along, find that first back hump, and we're going to skip that one, feel for the second one, and we're going to work one single crochet into that second chain from our hook. Then you're going to single crochet, feeling for the back hump of each remaining chain, for a total of 12 single crochet stitches. So pick up your yarn, and this isn't as intimidating as it looks. It's actually pretty easy to feel where your stitches are. So find that back loop, work into the second. And if you're a little nervous about losing stitches, put a stitch marker into that first stitch that we just made. And that'll hold our place at the beginning and end. And if you're really uncomfortable using this yarn, you can actually use a stitch marker and just mark all 12 single crochet stitches. Alright, so we've completed row 1. I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to work 2 more rows of just single crochet in each stitch across. So feel for that first stitch, single crochet, feel where your next stitch is, and single crochet. It looks kind of crazy, but it's actually a lot easier than you think to find your stitches. So I finished rows 2 and 3. And for row 4, it's going to be a little bit different because we're creating a pocket where tissues can go through. So here's what row 4 is going to look like in non-fuzzy yarn. You're going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches, chain 6, skip 6 stitches, and then single crochet in the final 3 stitches. So that's what it will look like. So in your fuzzy yarn, chain 1 and turn. Single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and remember you can always mark your first and last stitch if that makes you feel more comfortable, or every single stitch if you want to. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to chain 6, feel along to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 stitches, single crochet into the next stitch, and the next stitch and into that final stitch. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. So for row 5, you're going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches. Mark that first stitch if you want to. And then we're going to single crochet 6 times into this chain 6 space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then single crochet into those final 3 stitches. And then rows 6 and 7 are just single crocheting back and forth again. So I've completed row 7, and what we're going to do now is turn our work so that we're working down the side of each row. And what this is going to look like, here I have our non-fuzzy yarn. We're going to turn and work into the side of each row, and we'll pick up a total of 6 stitches. So don't work into the side of that first row right here, because that's technically that last stitch, which we'll work into at the end of this round. So go into that second side of the second row and single crochet, the side of the next row, single crochet. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for a total of 6 stitches. So feel for that first row and work into the second, single crochet. And this is important at this point because we're going to be working in unjoined rounds. Mark the first stitch of the round. That's 6 stitches. So now we're going to turn our work so that we're working across the bottom of the rectangle. Let me show you what that looks like. So this is a little bit easier. This is just the back side of our initial foundation chain. Oops. So we're going to single crochet twice into that first stitch, which is the corner stitch, and these 2 stitches just help us round that corner, and then you're just going to single crochet across. Feel for that first stitch and single crochet twice into that same stitch, and then single crochet in each stitch across. Okay, I've reached my corner stitch, that final stitch, and you're going to single crochet twice into that corner stitch, and then turn your work again to work back down the side of the rows. So single crochet twice, turn your work, feel for that next row, and pick up 6 stitches. Okay, we've reached this stitch over here, which you may still have marked with a stitch marker. We're going to single crochet twice into that corner. Then we're going to turn our work to just single crochet back across the top of this rectangle, work into the next 10 stitches. Okay, we have our final stitch, which if you work down the side of the row and then all the way across, we should be back to our first stitch over here. Single crochet twice into that first stitch. And that completes round 1. So for round 2, just single crochet in each stitch around. Don't forget these are unjoined rounds, so mark that first stitch of the round. And just single crochet in each stitch around until round 7. Alright, I have just worked up round 5. I think I said 7 rounds earlier. 5 rounds actually fits over a standard tissue box pretty perfectly, so I'm going to change the pattern to that. You can check to make sure that your cover fits over a tissue box and make sure that that works. So now I'm going to show you how to make the ears. First, let's just fasten off here. The last thing you're going to do is slip stitch into that first stitch and then fasten off. So to make our ear, we're going to start with a slip knot. And we're going to chain 4. We're going to be working in the back humps of the chain and single crochet in the second chain from hook. I always like to just mark that first stitch. So single crochet in the back hump of the next chain. And in that last chain, we're going to single crochet 3 times. And as we work our 3 single crochets into that chain, we're going to be turning our work so that by the time we finish all 3 single crochets, we're facing the opposite side of the foundation chain, and we're going to continue working down the opposite side. So single crochet in the back of that center chain, and then single crochet in the back of that first chain. So what we've done is just create this oval shape that's flat at the top. And now for row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Single crochet in the first 2 stitches. In the next stitch, we're going to single crochet 2 times in that same stitch. That just helps us make that turn right there. Single crochet 1 time in the next stitch. And single crochet 2 times in the next stitch. And then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, and that brings us to our very first stitch. And don't worry guys, while you're working these ears, if you're not completely exact, you really can't tell. This fuzzy yarn is so forgiving. You're not going to see any mistakes if you miss a loop in your stitch or if you miss a stitch altogether. So then what we're going to do is leave a long tail for seaming this ear to the body of the dog. And just pull that yarn through that last loop to fasten off. Don't forget to make 2 ears. So before I seam the ears to the dog, I am weaving in my ends, so I just wanted to show you that because it's a little bit tricky with this super bulky furry yarn. It's also hard to thread a tapestry needle, but just to kind of get it there. When you weave in your ends, just go slow and take it kind of 1 stitch at a time. And don't force it. So that's too hard. I'm going to back the needle out. I must have gone through one of the threads. That one caught, okay. Just find a stitch, pull it through one way, thread it back through the opposite direction, That's not working. So find a different place. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to fasten off, or sorry, just cut my yarn. Alright, so to seam the ears onto the dog, I like to place the cover over a box of tissues so we can kind of see structurally what it's going to look like when it's finished. So take a large tapestry needle and thread that long tail through a tapestry needle. Okay, and then we're just going to whip stitch, which means just working around and around these ears to the dog. So find about where that seam is, where the body of the dog meets kind of this top. And we're going to seam the ears on towards the front, but not all the way. So maybe about an inch or 2 to 3 centimeters back from the front. Find that kind of seam. Stick the tapestry needle through some stitches and through a stitch on the top of the ear. And just go slow and seam that around. Find a stitch close and another stitch on the ear. And just keep whip stitching it to the body until you've reached the end of the ear. And I'll do one last stitch right here. And that's all you need to do. Just stick this yarn through to the inside, fasten off and weave in that end. And then do the same for the opposite side. Here I'll show you to make sure that ear is super secure. I'm tying a knot on the inside of this, and then I'll just weave in that end, which I won't make you watch again. It's kind of painful to weave in these ends. So I've sewn on both of the ears and everything is complete on this dog except for the face. So let me grab those safety eyes. So in this kit I am going to use the largest nose that they have, and actually probably the largest eyes as well. And I've never used this before. I think that these all are going to use, yeah, the largest. So whenever I attach safety eyes, I like to just put everything in place before I actually secure anything. So let's see. Yeah, so that looks pretty cute. I think that I'm between rounds 2 and 3 on the body and for the eyes, and between rounds 4 and 5 for the nose. But you can play around and kind of put these safety eyes wherever you think fits best. When you attach safety eyes, remember that the flat side faces the fabric. And also, if you don't want to use safety eyes, you can also just grab some black embroidery thread and your large tapestry needle and sew on some little eyes and a nose. But that is complete.